For nearly 3 millennia, the Nexarian Advanced Learning Institute reigned as the undisputed zenith of galactic academia, a tenure rivaled only by the most entrenched bureaucratic quagmires. Its crystalline towers spiraled towards the heavens, mirroring the lofty pronouncements of its esteemed faculty, capturing and refracting the radiance of 7 suns into a vibrant panorama of intellectual exploration. Unspoken was the light's nasty habit of dazzling approaching shuttles, causing several unsightly craters on the pristine landing pads. The Institute boasted accepting only the galaxy's most sophisticated species. Luminary intellectuals hailing from the Prism realms bestowed their aptitude for trans-dimensional thought, matched only by their grating penchant for vocalizing in harmonic frequencies that set everyone's teeth on edge. The Vorak, for their part, offered their mythic analytical genius, rivaled by their uncanny talent for transforming even casual banter into a rigorous dissertation defense. Gas-composed masterminds hailing from the Nebula Collective presented concepts soaring far beyond the grasp of the audience. The nature of this transcendence, literal levitation or metaphorical brilliance, fueled passionate scholarly disputes. Then came the Earthlings. The choice to integrate Deathworld species into the Institute's elite curricula stemmed from the Galactic Educational Council's resolution, a period later deemed by historians as collective folly, yet officially noted as a broadened approach to academic inclusion. The underlying logic, though potentially questionable, seemed adequate in principle. Cognitive diversity, cross-gender discourse, and the unsettling epiphany that humanity had inexplicably crafted operational spacecraft, defying both established physics and fundamental logic. Consequently, Raven Blackwood discovered herself enrolled in advanced xenobiology, encompassed by entities whose sophisticated cultures were authoring scholarly treatises while humankind was yet deciphering the function of a sharpened stake. She inhabited a regulation-grade ergonomic learning module, swiftly adapted to satisfy her species' unique demands for a spinal column and unwavering determination to remain intact within the classroom's typical atmospheric composition. Professor Quilzak made a grand entrance into the lecture hall, a theatrical flourish honed over 3 centuries, betraying a profound lack of self-awareness. His radiant form captured the sunlight, refracting it into meticulously arranged patterns that flaunted his credentials in 7 languages, including 2 considered extinct, except, of course, by professors who wield them to belittle their peers. "Greetings, esteemed scholars," he announced, his voice echoing grandly. "Today, we commence an enthralling exploration into the profound afforals of biological adaptation, a field demanding not just intellect, but a sophisticated understanding of evolution's intricate beauty." His keen gaze traversed the student body, pausing with marked approval on the Vorth group, nodding to those brilliant minds with an air of intellectual camaraderie before settling upon Raven with the unmistakable expression of someone who had just stepped in something rather disagreeable. "Miss Blackwood," he pressed on, subtly weaponizing her name as if it were a medical prognosis. "I presume you've thoroughly reviewed the preliminary resources. I understand the ideas explored herein might appear somewhat esoteric to someone of your, shall we say, unique origins." Raven offered a smile, an ambiguous expression that hinted either at profound amusement or meticulous calculations for projecting a high-velocity object towards the professor's most delicate cranial feature. "Oh, I'm navigating this just perfectly, Professor." Admittedly, certain postulations regarding predator-prey dynamics are utterly captivating. It truly ignites contemplation about your first-hand exposure to an active predator. An unnerving silence descended upon the classroom, the kind that presaged either profound comprehension or impending conflict. Professor Quilzak's shimmering form pulsed with hues beyond conventional language, approximating intellectual outrage and a profound challenge to his established theories. "Ah," he intoned, his voice laced with the unmistakable undertones of professorial disapproval. "It seems we have a pupil who champions hands-on application over meticulous scholastic investigation." How delightfully archaic, the phrase lingered, a noxious vapor hanging heavy in the room. A few students fidgeted within their learning modules, the cause of their unease a toss-up between awkwardness and the atmospheric regulator's zealous adjustments. "Right then," Quilzak pressed on, seemingly determined to smother such insolence beneath a landslide of scholarly gravitas. "Let's now pivot to this semester's paramount endeavor. You are tasked with an in-depth investigation into comparative evolutionary adaptations spanning at least a dozen unique biomes. Success demands cutting-edge theoretical frameworks, intricate data scrutiny, and the profound critical thinking that distinguishes genuine academic prowess from simple witnessing." He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to resonate. His radiant form almost pulsed with the quiet thrill of asserting his intellectual prowess. "You'll collaborate organically in pairs. I've thoughtfully curated partnerships, strategically pairing complementary minds." He initiated his lecture from a holographic projection, materializing theatrically. "Zinc, your collaborator will be Luminatel. Prisamel, you'll be paired with Vaporon." A pregnant pause hung heavily in the air, thick with unspoken meaning. "Miss Blackwood," the silence amplified, "your partner is Zinkar." A wave of collective astonishment swept through the room. Indeed, regarding gaseous-formed students, it leaned towards a communal consumption of the existing atmosphere. Zinkar, a Vorak whose intellectual hubris achieved mythical status even within his race, subtly arched what resembled an eyebrow in his species. Professor Zinkar remarked, his tone laced with the courteous disbelief one might reserve for finding a priceless manuscript serving as a makeshift coaster. "Surely there must be a misunderstanding. I believe this was a high-level course demanding sharp analytical prowess." "Absolutely, it is," Quilzak responded, a grin spreading across his face, hinting at an almost unsettling enjoyment. "I believed it would be exceptionally insightful for Miss Blackwood to witness genuine scholarly pursuits firsthand. A valuable educational experience, wouldn't you agree?" Raven reclined in her pod, her amusement subtly morphing into something akin to eager anticipation, a glint that might be misinterpreted by the uninitiated as she meticulously assessed the ideal moment for a strategic strike. "Indeed, I anticipate a wealth of insights gained," she chirped, her tone radiating a buoyant optimism that, under different circumstances, could be utterly captivating. "However, Professor, I'm genuinely intrigued as to the precise nature of my observations here. Back where I originate, we possess a rather colorful idiom concerning presumptions and their unfortunate knack for making fools of us all." The ensuing hush was absolute, so profound it seemed to momentarily disrupt the very air, as if bewildered by the stark void of usual classroom clamor. "Miss Blackwood," Quilzak intoned, his shimmering form now swirling through hues that hinted at a deep re-evaluation of his life's trajectory. "Perhaps you might enlighten the assembly regarding the unique educational foundation you contribute to this distinguished academic sphere." In a twist of fate, Zinkar committed an act later deemed either a colossal blunder or species-defining idiocy. He surged from his learning pod, exhibiting the refined elegance his kind had honed for eons, and addressed the assembly with unwavering certainty, as if infallibility was his birthright and doubt a foreign concept. "With all due respect, Professor," he stated, his voice radiating the confidence inherent to a civilization unburdened by existential threats, "I posit that aligning myself with a partner better equipped for the rigorous intellectual challenges of this course would prove considerably advantageous for everyone involved. Perhaps a collaborative effort between Luminatel and myself, with Miss Blackwood observing judiciously, would prove fruitful." The proposition lingered, an uninvited truth about existence itself. Luminatel, the renowned crystalline scholar famed for unmatched analytical prowess, seemed almost relieved, her form brightening subtly. "An exceptional proposition," Professor Quilzak affirmed with unusual zeal. "Discovering the blissful news that one's most grating colleague has been reassigned to another division. Miss Blackwood, I trust this transition will enable a deeper appreciation for the esteemed academic standards upheld at our institute. You're welcome to observe project progression and, should the moment arise, offer straightforward, hands-on insights." Raven surveyed the classroom, meticulously observing her classmates, her gaze lingering on Zingar, whose smug aura was intensely irritating. "That's fantastic," she said, her voice radiating a disarming cheerfulness. "I'm intensely curious about the sophisticated methods galactic civilizations employ to explore biological adaptation. It promises to be enlightening." Her delivery of enlightening hinted at intentions that transcended conventional academic boundaries. "Outstanding," Professor Quilzak remarked, seemingly oblivious to the subtle nuances. "It's decided then. Class adjourned. Project proposals are due by week's end. Seasoned students, uphold academic rigor." As students streamed out, Raven lingered, observing Zinker and Luminatel animatedly discuss their project, their hushed excitement implying her presence was already a distant memory. Professor Quilzak collected his belongings, radiating the contentment of one who had just concluded a task successfully. Resolved a uniquely challenging issue by masterfully leveraging organizational influence. "Miss Blackwood," he uttered, poised to depart, "I trust you comprehend that this agreement serves the collective good. The institution prides itself on its esteemed reputation, and while I am confident in your capabilities, upholding our uncompromising standards is paramount." Raven flashed a smile, an enigmatic expression hinting at either profound insight or the precise calculations for launching a perfectly weighted projectile with maximum impact. "Oh, Professor," she chirped, her voice brimming with an ingenuous eagerness that should have triggered every survival mechanism in the entire galaxy. "Absolutely. I'm eager to demonstrate the depth of my understanding of biological adaptation. This semester promises to be exceptionally engaging." Gathering her things, she stopped momentarily to lock eyes with Zingar. "Catch you later, colleague," she quipped, a sly grin hinting at unconventional plans beyond simple academic work. The door whispered shut behind her, a definitive seal implying the cosmos had unleashed an unstoppable force. Professor Quilzak remained, alone in the vacant classroom, his radiant form shifting through hues that hinted at either immense gratification or the dawning of a splitting headache. Far off, The hum of environmental controls resonated with the quiet satisfaction of flawlessly sustaining ideal conditions for yet another day. Had he possessed foresight, he might have grasped that he'd just committed a blunder destined for scholarly debate for generations. Ultimately, foresight was conspicuously absent from the sophisticated abilities that 3 millennia of institutional evolution had cultivated. The semester promised to be extraordinarily captivating. Raven's private sanctuary at the Nexarian Advanced Learning Institute showcased a striking juxtaposition, liable to ignite creativity or induce a complete meltdown in any interior design aficionado. The regulation living quarters were meticulously crafted, reflecting an artistic vision that prized flawless geometric forms, immaculate lines, impeccably balanced lighting, and surfaces so utterly sterile, surgical procedures could be executed without further sanitation. The unforeseen quirk was a human whose abode resembled a bizarre fusion of lab, armory, and natural history exhibit. Walls showcased specimens, fascinating to horrifying, meticulously preserved and labeled with a precision hinting at science or lethal OCD. To the untrained eye, a curious assortment of crystallized oddities, straddling the line between gem and fossil, was meticulously displayed on a shelf, almost like sacred relics. A more discerning guest would have perceived that each piece was carefully oriented to capture the room's artificial luminescence at precise angles, casting shadows that formed words from Earth's archaic pre-colonization runic alphabet. An exceptionally astute observer would have discerned that those remarks weren't exactly flattering. Then again, exceptionally astute individuals were a rarity at the Academy, especially amongst the professors. Raven perched serenely on her sleeping mat, enveloped by holographic interfaces showcasing biological data streams intricate enough to overwhelm even a brilliant Vorak mathematician. Her comm device pinged with a message from the homestead, activated with a nonchalant flick, suggesting tech mastery or utter disregard for its sophistication. The projected holographic visage depicted a battle-worn human countenance, etched with the marks of decades spent confronting horrors that would prompt immediate planetary evacuation for most civilized species. Dr. Hemlock Blackwood, the preeminent xeninobiological researcher for the Titan's Edge Colonial Authority, was every inch the man he was, a dedicated scientist who made a career exploring the universe's most imaginative forms of biological annihilation. "Hello, darling," he began, his tone a blend of affection and weary amusement, hinting at a mix of pride and apprehension regarding his daughter's endeavors. "How's Galactic Academy shaping you?" "Dad, it's a whirlwind," Raven responded, casually projecting a holographic display showcasing a molecular arrangement that defied conventional understanding. "I'm delving into captivating theories utilized by sophisticated civilizations to comprehend biological evolution, truly enlightening." Dr. Hemlock, a seasoned parent, recognized enlightening as a prelude to unpleasant revelations. "Intriguing," he responded, his face carefully neutral, weighing concern versus admiration. "And how do your peers perceive your distinctive insights?" "Let's just anticipate a rather thorough introduction to Deathworld pedagogy," Raven remarked, seemingly engrossed in fine-tuning another display. "Say, Father, do you still possess that meticulously preserved Vorthok specimen from the Kepler Gorge? The one perhaps overly inquisitive about the indigenous environment?" The ensuing silence was the heavy calm that typically heralded either profound revelation or parental counsel commencing with, "Darling, I understand you're frustrated. However..." "Raven," Dr. Hemlock intoned deliberately, his voice a carefully calibrated instrument. "Tell me you're not contemplating actions that could spark an interstellar crisis." "Dad, I'm wounded by the mere insinuation," Raven countered, her expression radiating a disarming innocence that had convinced absolutely no one, ever. "I'm deeply immersed in exhaustive research for my evolutionary adaptation project, seeking comparative insights. Utterly meticulous, profoundly comprehensive, exceptionally practical." Dr. Hemlock scrutinized his daughter's face with the practiced intensity born from decades spent anticipating the actions of creatures evolved for their very unpredictability. His gaze met a countenance that mirrored his own scientific fervor, intertwined with her mother's flair for ingenious solutions, a potent mix historically sparking either paradigm-shifting innovations or utter chaos. "The Vorax sample remains cryogenically preserved," he conceded, seemingly acknowledging that opposition was, in essence, pointless. Enclosing comprehensive genetic breakdowns, refined behavioral assessments, and ecological acclimatization metrics, I'll dispatch it discreetly to your coordinates via established diplomatic avenues. Regards, Father. Furthermore, might you append those correlative anatomical holographic projections? Specifically, the ones illustrating skeletal divergences among species evolving under disparate gravitational forces. Raven. And perhaps those biochemical analysis reports from the Century expedition, particularly the ones detailing how various species respond to diverse environmental pressures. Raven. Furthermore, any recorded behavioral data on multi-species predator-prey dynamics would be invaluable to my study. Dr. Hemlock gazed upon his daughter, his expression a complex blend of pride in her meticulous nature and apprehension regarding the ramifications of her sharp focus. "I'll dispatch our complete archive," he declared at last. "However, pledge to exercise caution. The galaxy's scholarly circles aren't accustomed to the, let's say, robust methodologies we employ on the Outer Rim." Relax, Dad. Exhibiting meticulous care, a methodical approach, and genuine insight. Following the transmission, Raven reclined against her quarters wall, her eyes traversing the array of specimens embodying years of diligent research and thorough cataloging. Each narrative illuminated a journey of resilience, endurance, and the ingenious innovations evolution birthed when confronting seemingly insurmountable odds. The irony resonated deeply. She now grappled with her own daunting obstacle: entrenched bias and intellectual hubris within academia. Yet humans have consistently excelled at conjuring imaginative resolutions to the most intractable predicaments. Her console signaled an incoming data stream, and she engaged the display, revealing an exhaustive compendium of biological information from one of the galaxy's most perilous colonial research outposts. Apparently, Dr. Hemlock had concluded that if his daughter intended to prove a point, she should do so with an irrefutable and all-encompassing level of detail. The package encompassed everything, from foundational anatomical analyses to sophisticated behavioral analysis protocols complemented by a trove of preserved specimens, likely bypassing proper interstellar shipping mandates. The Blackwoods, however, always prioritized groundbreaking science over trivial rules. As she initiated the data assimilation, Raven's comm unit pinged anew, bearing a missive from Zinka. The text, concise yet dripping with the patronizing air only a brilliant academic could muster, read, "Miss Blackwood, Luminatel and I have commenced initial phases of our undertaking. we've resolved to prioritize the theoretical framework for evolutionary convergence under intense gravitational conditions. I'm confident you'll find our methodology enlightening upon the disclosure of our discoveries. It would be beneficial if you could compile rudimentary observational data to bolster our examination. Naturally, nothing excessively intricate. Z. Raven scrutinized the message intently, her countenance transitioning through a series of expressions that could be misinterpreted as profound contemplation, were it not for the subtle grin implying she was envisioning something distinctly wasn't explicitly addressed by the Institute's prevailing ethical framework. She crafted her response with a meticulous precision, suggesting either profound courtesy or latent menace. Dear Zinkar, I appreciate the insights into your projected theoretical framework. I anticipate it will remain profoundly theoretical. My independent investigation, utilizing invaluable primary source materials, promises a captivating perspective that challenges your analysis. I anticipate a stimulating comparison of our approaches, and believe the revelations uncovered will be profoundly enlightening. Unbeknownst to them, her source materials now encompassed substantial biological data to potentially reconstruct evolutionary history of species, in parallel to hazardous physical specimens by standard academic guidelines. Elaborate containment measures were implemented. Subsequently, Raven's daily life morphed into an almost unsettlingly precise pattern. She attended scheduled courses, engaging in academic debates with such refined civility it was difficult to discern whether it stemmed from genuine commitment or masterful deception. Her peers, in the interim, started to detect subtle shifts in her demeanor. She posed queries that appeared harmless initially, yet possessed an uncanny knack for revealing flaws in her professor's theoretical constructs. She delivered insights that were factually impeccable, but invariably cast a shadow on the perceived value of everyone else's input. Professor Quilzak, quite remarkably, appeared to view these unfolding events as validation of his pedagogical methods. In one truly unforgettable lecture concerning evolutionary pressure adaptations, he even commended Raven for her burgeoning grasp of rigorous scholarly protocol. "Observe, class," he declared, his radiant form virtually ablaze with triumph. This epitomizes the profound intellectual evolution we aim to cultivate via immersion in cutting-edge theoretical models. Miss Blackwood's inquiries showcase an amplified grasp of the intricate concepts we dissect here. Unbeknownst to him, Raven's inquiries meticulously pinpointed the conceptual shortcomings within his lectures, charting the territories where his scholarly understanding strayed from tangible experience. She was assembling an exhaustive compendium of systemic oversights with a deliberate accuracy hinting at either groundbreaking research or strategic maneuvers. Her private space morphed into a bizarre fusion of cutting-edge lab and a bio-warfare museum. Earth specimens mingled with data streams, analysis protocols, and research methods representing humanity's most lethal scientific hubs. Preservation units showcased evolutionary adaptations, varying from strikingly impressive to profoundly disturbing. The shimmering holographic projections depicted biological phenomena so grotesque that most advanced civilizations would have deemed those sectors of space entirely uninhabitable. The analytical instruments vibrated with a quiet, industrious satisfaction, sifting through data that redefined the very limits of academic comprehension. Intriguingly, Raven's collection revealed more, not just required academic treatises, but hands-on research from cutting-edge frontier colonies, elite military xenobiology divisions, and pioneering deep space exploration crews. Publications explored biological adaptation as crucial for survival, not mere academic interest. Meticulous notes compared theoretical forecasts with real-world observations, spotlighting discrepancies between scholarly presumptions and lived experience. The annotations featured precise, methodical script hinting at scientific exactitude or careful evidence documentation for a future dispute. As dusk descended on the eve of project unveilings, Raven secluded herself, encircled by the tangible fruits of her exhaustive research. The data currents revealed formations that would have captivated or horrified her peers. The specimen repositories showcased biological ingenuity that defied all preconceived notions of evolutionary potential. A comm device signaled a final time, bearing a missive from her progenitor. "Darling, wishing you phenomenal success with your project. Always bear in mind that the most impactful learning stems from illuminating the unknown. Make us immensely proud, Dad." Raven's smile deepened upon reading the message, her face radiating an eagerness that hinted at an experience promising to be either exceptionally enlightening or wonderfully disastrous. "Fear not, Father," she declared to the vacant chamber, her voice imbued with the kind of spirited resolve that had traditionally foreshadowed either groundbreaking discoveries or galactic calamities. "I intend to furnish them with precisely the pedagogy they merit." Beyond her windowpane, the Nexian system's septet of celestial offspring commenced their nocturnal ballet across the firmament, projecting shadows that morphed and undulated with the sort of cosmic apathy that implied the universe possessed more pressing concerns than scholastic squabbles. Then again, the universe had obviously never encountered a human being who had been consistently underestimated by superiors, allegedly transcendent entities. The semester was poised to become exceptionally captivating. The presentation morning arrived with a pristine brilliance, implying the cosmos itself conspired to orchestrate flawless atmospheric circumstances for scholarly mortification. The Nexarian Advanced Learning Institute's central auditorium was meticulously prepared for what Professor Quilzak touted as an exhibition of unparalleled academic prowess, though the setup resembled less a showcase and more a crucible intended to distinguish brilliant minds from intellectual mediocrity. The presentation stage commanded the hall's core, encircled by holographic emitters capable of projecting data across 17 distinct dimensional planes, encompassing even those imperceptible to the majority of species absent specific augmentation. The meticulously planned seating fostered an environment where each student's intellectual prowess could be readily assessed and thoroughly recorded by their colleagues. Professor Quilzak appeared promptly, his radiant crystalline figure hinting at a gleeful eagerness to behold the resounding triumph of refined academic methodology over rudimentary observational approaches. He devoted the prior night to crafting remarks spotlighting the advanced theoretical constructs exhibited by his superiors. Initial presentations unfolded with the anticipated brilliance expected of the Institute. Luminatul gave an exhaustive breakdown of gravity's impact on bone density, featuring mathematical models intricate enough to delight any quantum physicist. Her holographic renderings displayed predicted outcomes, traversing intricate dimensional matrices interwoven with profound statistical analysis, a feat that would be genuinely awe-inspiring had it not rested solely on computational frameworks. "Exceptional work, Miss Luminatul," Professor Quilzak remarked, his voice radiating an endorsement that implied he was observing the vindication of every conviction he held regarding pioneering scholarly accomplishments. Your theoretical framework showcases the profound, intricate reasoning we anticipate from our brightest scholars. Zinkar presented an evolutionary convergence, deeply rooted in theory, almost depicting organisms existing solely within the realm of mathematical conjecture. His incisive analysis showcased advanced predictive models, factoring in unprecedented variables, underpinned by sophisticated computational frameworks exceeding conventional comprehension of biological adaptation. "Remarkable, Mr. Zinkar," the professor lauded, his crystalline form practically radiating academic elation. "Your research epitomizes the zenith of theoretical xenobiology. Such intellectual prowess distinguishes evolved societies from mere rudimentary observation." Subsequent presentations followed suit, escalating in complexity and becoming increasingly detached from tangible application. The students presented their insights with an air of unwavering certainty, born from a pristine academic bubble where theoretical models flawlessly mirrored biological reality. Then, Professor Quilzak announced, "Raven Blackwood." His tone dripped with the condescending support one might offer a child grappling with an impossible feat. "Miss Blackwood, if I recall, you have some compelling observations to enlighten us with? Don't sweat trying to emulate the advanced analytics we've just seen. Your grounded insights will undoubtedly be valuable." Raven unfolded from her chair, a movement of such liquid grace it hinted either complete ease or precise calculation for the perfect launch angle. Approaching the podium, she clutched a seemingly harmless container, its appearance deceivingly normal, yet it unsettled several students. "Grateful thanks, Professor," she announced, her voice laced with a politeness that should have triggered alarm bells for anyone with a sense of self-preservation. "I've meticulously crafted what I believe will be a profoundly enlightening exposition on comparative evolutionary adaptation." She situated the storage container on the professor's desk with a deliberate, almost unsettling precision, hinting at either profound reverence or a palpable threat. "Right then," she proceeded, seemingly engrossed in triggering the container's release, "it's worth noting that my research paradigm diverges a bit from the theoretical frameworks we've recently explored. In my experience, grasping biological adaptation thrives on immersive observation and empirical analysis." The container exhaled a delicate hiss, amplified in the hushed lecture hall. Raven delved within, producing a flawlessly preserved skull. Undeniably Vorak in origin, its modified bone structure hinted at encounters with horrors warranting immediate solar system-wide evacuation by any sane civilization. She nonchalantly deposited the cranium onto Professor Quirrell's desk, exhibiting a self-assuredness that implied either a profound familiarity with organic remains or a blatant disregard for the sanctity of the professor's office, effectively transforming it into her private research station. The ensuing stillness was so absolute that even the lecture hall's climate control systems momentarily suspended their routine operation, seemingly bewildered by the abrupt cessation of breathing. "What field intrigues you most?" Raven inquired, her tone laced with a guileless curiosity, hinting at a sincere interest in the professor's academic inclinations. Professor Quilzak gazed intently at the skull, his expression reflecting a mind grappling with data that defied his preconceived theoretical paradigms. His ethereal form shimmered with hues beyond conventional languages, hinting at intellectual bewilderment and rising trepidation. "Ms. Blackwood," he declared at last, his voice a tapestry of disciplined restraint, masking either steadfast professionalism or suppressed violent urges. What in the cosmos is that thing? And why has it landed on my desk? Ah, this, Raven responded, seemingly unfazed by the professor's visible agitation. It's a meticulously preserved Vorthak skull, unearthed in the Kepler Gorge region of Titan's Edge, a prime illustration of how evolutionary adaptation theories often crumble when faced with the brutal truth of survival. With an air of practiced ease, she initiated the lecture hall's holographic display, hinting at meticulous preparation or audacious improvisation. "Now," she articulated, her voice adopting the pedagogical cadence instructors employ when elucidating intricate ideas to exceptionally unperceptive learners. Theoretical frameworks suggest Vorak skeletal structures are exquisitely tailored to their native habitat's gravitational and atmospheric demands. Mathematical models forecast consistent bone density ratios, joint articulation dynamics, and cranial capacity benchmarks across the entire species. The holographic projection showcased a detailed, three-dimensional skull reconstruction, gently rotating to expose intricate features unseen in textbook studies. The skeletal framework appeared exceptionally ravenous, yet its alterations defied conventional academic descriptions. Raven proceeded, her voice adopting a detached tone, as if discussing routine climate phenomena. Upon closer inspection of specimens exposed to genuine evolutionary pressures, pressures mount, revealing the disparity between textbook theory and real-world application. She refined the holographic display, accentuating key skull features. Each adaptation defied conventional theoretical assumptions regarding Vorak biology. Observe the expanded cranial vault and strengthened bone framework at key stress areas. Your models posit such changes require genetic engineering, yet evolution proves far more ingenious than academia acknowledges. An unnerving hush settled over the lecture hall, the initial bewildered shock evolving into a palpable focus, a sense dawning on the students that they were perhaps privy to a momentous revelation. But the truly captivating aspect, Raven proceeded, her passion igniting, lies in the profound environmental insights these adaptations unveil. This unique specimen, unearthed from a region where ambitious Vorthite colonists were pioneering a mining venture. Initial environmental projections suggested the local ecosystem presented negligible obstacles to their pre-existing biological frameworks. She lingered, allowing the gravity of her words to resonate, her discerning gaze sweeping across the attentive students, hinting at a subtle assessment of their understanding. Theoretical evaluations often neglect a crucial element, she stated, her voice imbued with a compassionate firmness, foreshadowing a possibly discomforting revelation. The existence of indigenous predators, uniquely adapted to exploit the very biological weaknesses that theoretical frameworks typically disregard. The holographic projection transitioned, showcasing comparative analytical data that meticulously chronicled the ecological forces that had sculpted the skull's remarkable adaptations. The data was delivered with a level of exacting detail that hinted at either a scrupulous scientific inquiry or the painstaking preservation of evidence destined for a future war crimes tribunal. What's truly captivating, Raven elucidated, her voice imbued with an infectious pedagogical zeal, is the astonishing rapidity of real-world evolutionary adaptation when organisms confront exigent survival imperatives. This extraordinary adaptation manifested over roughly 3 generations, a pace far exceeding most theoretical predictions. Professor Quills remained taciturn during the discourse, his crystalline essence shimmering with hues indicative of either a monumental epiphany or an impending cognitive implosion. "Miss Blackwood," he stated at last, his voice laced with the kind of meticulous restraint hinting at either an attempt to project scholarly equanimity or a precise evaluation of the legal repercussions stemming from possessing a potentially dangerous biological entity within his lecture hall. "Precisely where did you procure this artifact? And what leads you to believe it merits scholarly exposition?" Raven flashed a smile, an expression hinting she'd eagerly anticipated that very inquiry. "Ah, Professor," she began, her voice laced with a buoyant eagerness that portended either profound illumination or utter consternation. "I procured this remarkable specimen from my family's esteemed research archive. We dedicate ourselves to scrutinizing the fascinating biological adaptations that emerge when bold theoretical forecasts meet the gritty test of practical application." Regarding its relevance, she paused, gesturing towards the cranium with a nonchalant self-assurance, hinting at either a profound comfort with her pedagogical style or an impending, unforgettable revelation. "After all, you solicited a thoroughgoing examination of comparative evolutionary adaptation, did you not? It could be quite illuminating to showcase the tangible manifestation of these concepts when transcending mere theoretical constructs and scrutinizing genuine biological frameworks." The ensuing hush was thick with implications that appeared to exponentially intensify with every fleeting moment. The hush lingered, an awkward expectancy hinting the cosmos itself was breathlessly observing this unique academic impasse. Professor Quilzak scrutinized the skull on his desk, perceiving it as a bizarre fragment from a divergent dimension, where his meticulously built theories possessed the practical significance of a thesis on aquatic wickerwork. "Miss Blackwood," he stated at last, his tone laced with a precarious calm, hinting at either upholding scholarly decorum or stifling a strong desire to evacuate the premises. "While your exhibit possesses undeniable substance, I struggle to ascertain its relevance to the advanced analytical frameworks explored within this curriculum." It was precisely then that Raven illustrated why Deathworld pedagogy cultivated individuals uniquely adept at navigating insurmountable scenarios with inventive resolutions. "Professor, with all due respect," she began, her voice laced with a delicate patience that hinted at elucidating a self-evident concept. "This bears a striking relevance to each theoretical framework we've explored in today's discourse. Actually, I'd contend that this very specimen showcases more profound evolutionary adaptation insights than all those complex mathematical models we've observed together." She then launched another holographic display, presenting comparative data that rendered the prior presentations as utterly rudimentary sketches crafted by exceptionally uninspired kids. Zinkar's evolutionary convergence analysis presumes environmental pressures adhere to foreseeable patterns suitable for mathematical modeling. However, this particular specimen showcases the outcome when environmental pressures encompass factors largely disregarded by conventional theoretical frameworks. Imagine creatures meticulously evolved to hunt sentient beings. The student's collective gasp noticeably altered atmospheric oxygen. "Observe," Raven stated, casually indicating cranial modifications. "Adaptations forged against predators capable of tracking prey by unveiling neural activity patterns. The fortified bone structure offers more than mere physical defense. It provides electromagnetic shielding. Luminital, celebrated moments ago for her insightful analysis, extended a limb. "Absolutely impossible," she declared, her voice laced with academic assurance, hinting either at unwavering expertise or a forthcoming, unpleasant lesson. "Our sophisticated models unequivocally prove that these adaptations necessitate genetic alterations far beyond the scope of natural occurrence within your proposed time frame." Raven flashed a smile, the kind that hinted she'd eagerly anticipated this very challenge. "The sheer allure lies within authentic biological systems," she elucidated, her voice laced with a delicate air of superiority, as if imparting elementary truths to one inexplicably ignorant of their discipline's bedrock axioms. They often defy the constraints imposed by theoretical models. She skillfully adjusted the holographic display, revealing genetic analysis data that showcased the biological mechanisms driving the skull's adaptations. The information was presented with such meticulous precision that it implied either a highly structured scientific investigation or the painstaking compilation of evidence poised to revolutionize established academic beliefs. The genetic shifts transpired via a fusion of environmental duress and an accelerated survival mechanism. As organisms confront existential, extinction-grade perils, evolutionary adaptation can unfold at velocities deemed unattainable by many academic establishments. Unless, naturally, they've thoroughly investigated organisms exposed to analogous pressures. Professor Quilzak's crystalline structure shifted through hues indicative of a profound academic existential quandary. His meticulously crafted worldview, forged over 3 centuries of rigorous theoretical study and institutional endorsement, was being systematically deconstructed by a student who approached advanced xenobiology with the pragmatic ease of a seasoned artisan. "Miss Blackwood," he declared, his voice laced with a desperate authority, suggesting a struggle to either reclaim command of his classroom or preemptively tender his resignation from the hallowed halls of academia. "Even granting the validity of your unorthodox interpretation, I'm struggling to grasp how this surpasses proven theoretical frameworks." It was then Raven unveiled humanity's galaxy-wide notoriety for being dangerously erratic. "Ah, Professor," she chirped, her voice laced with a joyful eagerness implying an unforgettable lesson. "The most captivating part is yet to come." She delved into her storage unit, extracting another specimen. This one was undeniably a crystalline entity, though its alterations hinted at severe environmental hardships, conditions most civilizations would deem sufficient cause to completely circumvent that region of space. "Observe this artifact," she articulated, positioning it adjacent to the Vorak skull with a nonchalant accuracy, hinting at either curating a museum exhibition or assembling evidence for a galactic war crimes trial. "Unearthed from the very same territory. Take note of the ingenious structural modifications forged by identical environmental imperatives." The lecture hall was hushed, possessing a profound silence that often heralded either groundbreaking revelation or the utter disintegration of everything they understood. Professor Quilzak scrutinized the second skull, as if it were irrefutable proof the cosmos was playing a vicious prank on his entire career. Raven elaborated, seemingly untouched by the professor's inner turmoil, highlighting the captivating convergence where distinct species evolve, parallel adaptations under comparable survival imperatives. This pristine sample showcases analogous electromagnetic defense enhancements, yet realized via a profoundly unique biological pathway. She unveiled further holographic projections, showcasing comparative analytical data, illustrating the adaptive methods evolved by various species encountering identical environmental adversities. The presentation exuded a thoroughness, implying either remarkable scholastic aptitude or the methodical accumulation of proof for a looming pedagogical cataclysm. "This unveils," she declared, her voice now resonating with an assuredness that hinted at either a pivotal scientific breakthrough or a profound disruption to the established academic consensus that theoretical constructs hold merit solely when they comprehensively address the myriad variables inherent in genuine biological ecosystems. Zinkar, previously tacit during this exposition, ultimately interjected, "This is merely a pragmatic assessment," he stated. His voice resonated with a hint of frantic denial, hinting that he was either desperately clutching his academic dominance or witnessing his entire intellectual foundation collapse before his very eyes. No elaborate theoretical constructs, no intricate mathematical models, no cutting-edge analytical techniques. Raven regarded him with an expression hinting at sincere empathy or precisely gauging the pedagogical impact of her forthcoming remark. "Precisely correct," she affirmed, her tone radiating a cheerful concurrence that should have alerted anyone possessing viable survival instincts. This boils down to hands-on, real-world observation. The immersive, hands-on experiential learning, a methodology tragically overlooked by most sophisticated civilizations who have embraced theoretical constructs that excel in sterile academic settings, yet crumble when faced with the unpredictable messiness of reality. With a disarming self-assurance, she indicated the specimens on the professor's desk, hinting either at a deep insight into educational philosophy or underscoring the reasons Deathworld species are renowned for their ruthlessly pragmatic approach. The crucial distinction is that empirical observation yields actionable knowledge that remains effective even when needed to. Theoretical frameworks often generate academic papers that appear formidable. That is until someone challenges their practicality in real-world scenarios. Professor Quilzak remained in bewildered silence, his crystalline form shimmering with colors, hinting at either a groundbreaking intellectual epiphany or the utter collapse of his long-held beliefs about academic dominance. The meticulously crafted edifice of theoretical expertise, the hallmark of his career, now faced a formidable challenge from a student wielding advanced xenobiology as a pragmatic skill honed by first-hand encounters. "Miss Blackwood," he articulated, his voice imbued with an air of studied impartiality, hinting at a desperate attempt to salvage his professional standing or a profound paradigm shift in his pedagogical philosophy. "Your approach is decidedly unorthodox." "I appreciate that, Professor," Raven responded, her tone laced with a courteous appreciation that implied she was either graciously receiving praise or subtly recognizing his concession. "I've long maintained that true education blooms from illuminating the uncharted territories of ignorance." As the session concluded and students streamed out, the lecture hall's air morphed from academic assurance into intellectual humility laced with begrudging admiration. The earlier, seemingly ingenious theories now appeared deficient against the backdrop of the compelling, hands-on demonstration. Professor Quilzak lingered at his desk, fixated on the exhibits that had radically redefined his comprehension of true scholarly excellence. For 3 centuries, he had confidently asserted that nuanced theoretical mastery signified the ultimate height of intellectual evolution. He now grappled with the stark realization that applied expertise could eclipse theoretical academia. Raven meticulously assembled her belongings with an efficient grace, hinting at either remarkable organization or a readiness for swift departure if the situation demanded. Pausing on her exit, she hesitated by the professor's workstation. "Professor," she remarked, her voice imbued with a respectful cadence, hinting at either genuine assistance or a definitive educational insight. "Should you ever desire to delve deeper into applied xenobiology, I would gladly offer our research approaches. We've discovered tangible experimentation often yields revelations that theoretical simulations may overlook." As she advanced towards the portal, Professor Quelzak hailed her. "Miss Blackwood," he announced, his tone laced with a delicate inquisitiveness that hinted he was either sincerely seeking enlightenment or poised to revolutionize his educational philosophy. "Might you suggest some invaluable resources to delve deeper into this subject?" Raven offered a smile, a subtle expression hinting at either gratification at his keen interest or contentment that her illuminating demonstration had fully resonated. "I shall curate and forward a comprehensive reading list tailored for you," she affirmed. "Heed my caution, Professor. Much of our exploration entails tangible fieldwork, eclipsing theoretical ponderings. Expect a substantially more immersive, hands-on experience than typical academic pursuits." The door's closure echoed a decisive shift, hinting at a semester veering sharply toward experiential learning. Professor Quelzak occupied his lecture hall solitarily, encompassed by the vestiges of his theoretical certitude, alongside a pair of biological subjects embodying his shortcomings in comprehending the connection between scholastic erudition and tangible actuality. Evidently, the cosmos had furnished him an exhaustive tutorial distinguishing mere acquaintance with a subject from its genuine comprehension. He grasped that this semester was poised to be extraordinarily enriching and insightful.